Welcome to Supplier Spot Spotlight, the podcast where we shine a light on the RV, park, and campground outdoor hospitality industry. Join us as we chat with suppliers, park owners, and staff, uncovering insights, strategies, and stories that will elevate your outdoor experience. Get ready for inspiration and innovation in every episode.
Hey everyone, Bobby Sorden here with Supplier Spot Spotlight Podcast. Hey, I'm here with my next guest, Terry Broussard. Did I say it right, Terry? I hope I did.
That's it, Broussard.
Broussard, wait, he's with the Spot tonight. So, Terry, thank you for being on with me. I mean, as I mentioned before we started recording, this is just kind of a free-for-all talk of getting to know you and Spot tonight and how you guys got going. And, and of course, I wanted to get your thoughts, too, about Supplier Spot and the marketplace site that I created this year. I actually launched it March 5th, so it's still brand new adolescent phase. So, Terry, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and Spot tonight and how everything got going?
Sure, absolutely. And thanks again, Bobby, for having me on Supplier Spot. I'm real excited to be here and real excited about the site because I think you're on the precept of greatness with the concept. Because as you know, when I put my park relations hat on there and dealing with all the different parks, there's a real need for a huge networking and community. And I, of course, like you, I'm in so many different forums and everything, and I see people looking for this, looking for that. How do we do this? How do we do that? And your ability to where I can list something for sale and perhaps move stuff that's sitting behind a barn on the park that someone else needs, I think is really good. So that's real exciting. Many of your viewers will probably know about us. I hope they do. If they don't, well, it's a great opportunity to tell about us, Spot tonight. And I always tell the story that, which is the truth, that I'm not from the Hilton. Okay, I'm not from the industry. I am a traveler. I'm a 4-time RV owner, Air Force retired. I'm actually a registered nurse by trade, and that's what I did in the Air Force. But I had some of the most non-nursing type jobs in the Air Force that gave me some great experiences on building network systems for the Air Force medical community while I was stationed at the Pentagon and other headquarter level operations after Gulf War and, of course, for Iraqi freedom. But that being said, I retired from there and then went on into nursing and retired as a vice president for a major healthcare system as a director of nurses where we rolled out electronic medical record. So you can kind of see the theme here of looking at a problem, analyzing it, and putting our level best effort into bringing a solution. And really that's what happened. Leaning against the RV, my son-in-law Sam and I trying to go someplace. My wife says, let's go somewhere tonight. It just didn't work that way as we saw it. So I would have to spend hours looking at Google, trying to find different places for, to go camping, whether they had an availability, or I'd have to call and speak with someone on the front desk who would get interrupted, to maybe delay my purchase of a $400, worth of campground spots to sell a s'more kit for $1.75.
Yeah.
And then when they'd come back to the phone to get me, they would say, okay, now what size RV did you have again? And I didn't get that membership. What membership did you have?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You said you were military. And so we have to go through the whole process. So it was extremely frustrating. It was not very convenient. And so we realized that there had to be a better way. And fortunately, we had some great friends. Sam had some great friends that had a great technology background. We had the concept built very well in mind. We literally stood there at the kitchen table and kind of went through the booking process in our head. This is finding a part. This is what we need to tell them. This is how we pay. These are our memberships. Oh, they always pick one that gives me the best deal. And away we go. And this is how we book. And so with that concept, we literally, called Australia one night, called the first PMS system because we knew that going park to park wasn't getting us there.
Yeah.
And got a developer kit. Close to that same time, we were literally calling out names while I was playing on GoDaddy, looking for a URL and domain. Yeah. And that's how it all came together. And much as you and I shared early on, it was kind of the one-man band. I was calling parks and dropping pins on maps and developing how it was going to look. And Mike Perone, our chief product officer was like, okay, we got this. This is going to do this, da-da. And then Joel Garcia, our chief tech guy, he's like, okay, we're going to do this, and how this all works. And then we launched with, I think we had like 12 parks when we first launched. And I remember the Florida RV Super Shows as our kind of our hallmark. I think it was like 12 and 42, and then maybe 500, and then we crossed over 1,000 last year of connected parks, which we're most proud of.
So my understanding then is Spot Tonight is just kind of like just like a global campground booking engine, right? So like if a park's on there, you're booking directly with that park through Spot Tonight. Is that how it works?
Basically, we are not a reservation company, so we are neutral, right, to all of the reservation systems. So we go out and work through API direct level integrations to their booking systems.
Yeah.
So if you're a park operator and you're looking for a system, you can go to our webpage, which is partners.spottonight.com, and you will actually be able to see the different systems that we are directly connected to. Yeah. And if your system's on there, then all you do is just reach out to us or respond to one of our many emails I'm sure we get, and you'll see that we can connect. And then we do all of this right here that you're seeing. We do the ingestion of all the data. It's all automatic. We don't just send you a domain and say, here, you better load your spots and all this, or did you put all your pictures in there. We do all of this. You just have to give us permissions and we run with it. We have a full team of marketing people that helped do a lot of the, do all of our socials and our tech guys. And we actually have a team that we use that does the cartography as far as placing pins. And then the rest is automatic once we turn it on.
That's great. Yeah. I've typed in current location because I'm based here in Colorado Springs. So I was just curious to see which ones would come up. So all of these ones I know very well. I travel around. We were talking earlier before we came on. I have a Harley. So one of my favorite things to do is just ride through these mountain towns and stop at these RV parks and just introduce myself and say hi, things like that. And we've stayed at quite a few. Like Garden of the Gods one's a beautiful park. It's right at the base of Garden of the Gods. So yeah, this is great. So, I mean, it seems so easy to just kind of go in and do what you got to do. And, I got to be honest with you too, Terry. I got my name because, I kind of liked your little spot idea. I was trying to make sure that you didn't take your logo or anything like that because, I just love that terminology, and especially in campgrounds, we're always looking for a spot to camp,
Exactly. And so,
so.
Yeah, that's what, as people say, well, how'd you come up with the name? I said, well, I always call a park and I'd say, hey, do you have any spots tonight?
Exactly.
And they said, sure, I got one. And so it was just rolled off the tongue and very logical. So on the screen that you're in the top right-hand corner where it says log in, if you would, or anyone takes the moment to create their profile,
sure,
that's going to, and put in there, most common, like a 20-foot travel trailer. And you can put in 30 amp, water, sewer, Wi-Fi. These are some of the most common search for amenities. It will always remember that, right? And so you won't have to, change anything, and it may actually change the results of what you're seeing there as far as what's available.
Okay.
Because now it does it, it does it for that specific vehicle. And then, of course, the little heart that you have there under the 80 results, if you click on that, that will launch it into a sequence where you can save it for a trip board. A lot of times we know people are sitting around the fireplace looking down the road at their next few stops. They can just save it. And then we actually have the ability, if you're in the iOS, to share those spots with other people. Say, hey, look at this, and zip it over to your travel team and all of the people that are going with you. So you mentioned earlier about creating a community, and that's really what I think camping is all about, right? It's that community. Yep. And with that in mind, that's kind of how we built all of this right here, so that it would basically build it all together.
Yeah, this is great. Yeah, it seems really easy to do. And what I love about it, as you said earlier, using the API integration. So it's going directly through Garden of the Gods booking engine already, which is, I think, is awesome. So, and that's what I just really like about the things you're doing. It's kind of what I'm trying to do with Supplier Spot, is just make things seamless and easy. It's funny when I go to like Supplier Spot, I just typed in the search listings up here and typed in Spot Tonight, brought up your platform. As I mentioned earlier, I worked with Sam, and, I see Sam at most of the trade shows and conferences, and we always get along great. Him and I like to have our adult beverages that we really focus on. I don't know if we can say that. I mean, I guess we can. It's my podcast, but we're whiskey drinkers, and we really like to find really good whiskeys and talk about the aroma and everything.
That's
so.
my new company called Shop Tonight.
There you go. Hey, let's do it. Right, let's get that domain. Yeah, but it's cool here how it just pops up here, and I noticed too is your platform is similar to the one that I'm using too, and that wasn't by default. But you can see I got a lot of different suppliers on here, but the same concept goes is you can just click here to see where they're located. Like you mentioned earlier before we started recording that you watched the one that I did with Ed, the podcast that I did with Ed with EOB Consulting. So, and my goal with this is just to kind of get more information out there to everybody. And, and I like the fact that, and again, this wasn't intentional to do it the same way you do, but it's always nice to know the locations of places.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's critical, especially if it's real close. You may find, and again, through your opportunity to where you can buy stuff locally or whatever.
Yeah.
There's some 15,000 campgrounds in North America, and are in the U.S. And so there may be one just down the road that has pieces and parts that you need.
Yeah.
To do your growth plan or to make your mission, make your camping success for people this weekend. And so I think that really is a great thing about community. And along that lines, that's kind of what, when I talk to campground owners, I have a lot of people that'll say to us, oh, I'm like always full. And I say, you're 100%, 100% of the time. Well, okay, not really. Okay, see, because with Spot Tonight technology, directly connected to the booking system. You don't have to release spots to me. You don't have to run to your desk when someone leaves and say, I got to send that to Spot Tonight so that this dog will hunt and find that last spot, right?
Yeah.
And so it will put people at 100. And even if it's only for one night, whether it's tonight or as far forward as these guys release in their booking engine, there's an opportunity for that traveler to wake up and meet the campground owners or operators and make a friend for life.
Yeah.
And that's what I stress so much, because when I camp, I'm one of those early guys. I'm drinking the coffee out on the front desk. I see the park operators of these individually owned parks driving the golf cart, picking the garbage up with their teams.
Yep.
I have a sense of the small business in me as well. And I feel for that. It's just like when I first, launched the first parks, it's like, it's all me to make this go. Nobody's doing it. This is a 7-day-a-week operation.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. And that was my whole deciding factor when I first started thinking about Supplier Spot. As we mentioned earlier, I was laid off from a previous company I used to work for in the industry, and I really didn't want to go work for another industry company, and of course unless the pay was right, but I wanted to kind of do my own thing now. So I told my wife, I was like, listen, when the kids were growing up and you were raising them, I worked multiple jobs to make the income so you could stay home with the kids while she built up her practice. My wife's a counselor, she's a licensed therapist, so she has her own business now. But I worked so many jobs to get there. So I told her, you know what, now that our kids are older, this layoff is assigned to me. I think I'm ready to want to ride your coattails for a little bit and see if I can get something that I can build out to something I'm proud of and not have to work for somebody. And that was my goal behind Supplier Spot. And originally I just started it off with making it like a directory, just a place where park owners and staff members could go and find the products and services that they're looking for their parks and campgrounds. But as I was talking to people, I think I was telling you earlier, I spoke to Sam before I even launched to get his thoughts and ideas about it. It evolved the more I talked to people. They're like, well, what about, can I sell my products through your site? And I was like, well, yeah, it's a marketplace. So I talked to the guys with liquefied RV toilet treatment. These guys are really awesome. And I'm like, yeah, we sell them by the case. Can we throw them on there? I was like, yeah, put them on there and then I'll help market them for you. And as I mentioned earlier, it's still in the young phases. So I'm getting the word out there. I've only done one trade show with it so far, and that was a Florida, Alabama one. And that was a great show. For me, it got a little bit more information out there, but as you mentioned, it even involved some more about working directly with these parks and making these connections. And I was actually talking to a campground park owner. I was talking to her. She's somebody I met from the previous company I used to work for to get her thoughts about it. And she's like, well, this is pretty cool. She's like, we have a deep fryer that we don't use anymore in our cafe, and we're trying to get it sold. And of course, we can put it on Facebook Marketplace or someplace like that. And if somebody's looking for that, that's where they find it. She's like, well, could we throw it on your site? And I was like, well, absolutely you can. And then I can help market it for you. And since it's location based, people
Oh
who are
yeah.
searching, they can look around their area because, a deep fryer is kind of hard to ship, so they
Yeah, yeah.
either have to pick it up or
Bring a
deliver.
truck. Yeah, right. Bring a
Exactly.
truck.
Yeah, and then it evolved even more. I started working with another park where they're upgrading their electric meters to the new wireless type
Sure.
meters, but their older meters work just fine. And there's parks out there that are expanding their sites and just want regular meters. And I'm like, well,
Yep,
throw them up
yep.
there on supplier spot, and I'll help market it for you. That's kind of my goal with it. Is, as I mentioned to you earlier, I'm doing this all by myself. So I love the fact that you guys are. It's kind of like you. We got a similar story here that what you did. What is this, like 4 years ago? I think is when you
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
started.
We came up with the idea in 2019, just
Yeah.
pre-COVID, and here we are.
5 years ago, yeah. So I'm hoping
Yeah.
5 years from now, Supplier Spot will be well known and people will use it for their marketplace for the campground industry. And so that's what I love about this is just, and the thing I like the most about this is when I was in the industry, I'm an avid camper myself. We have a fifth wheel with a boat, all that type of stuff. We've done our tent camping. My son actually just finished his Eagle Scout Court of Honor like
Congrats.
last
Yeah.
week. So
Oh, awesome.
did a lot of camping with him. So I just always want to remain in this industry. And I met so many people like you and Sam, your whole family. I mean, Grant, all those guys are
Hmm.
just awesome people. And
Thank you.
that's why I wanted to stay in this industry. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise to say, all right, thanks for everything you did for our company, the last company I worked for, but we're letting you go now. And at first I was upset, like, what the heck? And then now I realized, okay, this is bittersweet. So I'm building something new here. So
Yeah, there you go.
yeah, that's kind
Well,
of
and
what
that's
you
why I
guys did.
say, and I think the opportunity to get the word out to as many parks. I think we go to a lot of shows, right? So in 4 years, you've seen us at a
Yep.
lot of the big shows.
Yeah.
There are many single state shows. Like I personally just do the
Mhm.
Louisiana show
Yeah.
because it's right down the road for the
Yep.
most part. But I imagine there's a lot of parks. Again, I said with 15,000 in the U.S. that don't have the resources to travel
Yeah.
across the country to go to a national show. So the opportunity here is through Supplier Spot is to really make a virtual campground show with all of these vendors. And so people that may have heard about us or saw something can see our logo there and go to the partners page. And, again, a lot of people non-threatening, don't have a salesman pounding on them,
Yep.
like to sit and drink their coffee and read these things and learn about us
Yep.
and how we came to be. And I think that's the great thing about it. It works out so well.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that I was really contemplating or was a little bit nervous about is because, these associations, and you see here, I have a link here for conferences and trade shows, the ones that I know of. And of course, if there's anyone out there that you know of, let me
Mm-hmm.
know and I'll throw it on here. But my whole goal behind this was to make a centralized location. But I talked to a few executive directors who are who are over the associations. And they were a little nervous thinking, okay, well, now you're going to take the suppliers away from my show. And I was like, well, no, that's not the concept. And
Mm-mm.
the concept to me is I'm going to help promote your associations. And a good example with that is when I was talking to Bobby Cornwell with the Florida, Alabama, he's the president and executive director. He loved this idea. First one to jump
Mm-hmm.
on board. I think I told you that earlier. And his thought process was, no, I mean, you could help me promote this. And actually it did work out because when I was talking to some suppliers to get them on a supplier spot, they were asking me, hey, where are you marketing? And I said, well, there's great shows. Just go over on here to, the conferences and trade shows link. And, this Florida one's a great one. Taco is a good one. All these shows are good. And they're like, oh yeah, I want to be a part of the Florida one. So I'm helping get them part of the association. I said, hey, become a supplier member. And then you have access to tons of RV park
Mm-hmm.
owners and stuff that are asking questions. And so I'm just trying to be part of this global community. And, and this site too is geared more as a marketplace, as we were talking, as you were mentioning earlier. You do have the capabilities of doing reviews on here, but the reviews are supposed to be based on transactions or communication. Not like, oh, I like Spot Tonight, they're great, give them 5 stars. It's more of, hey, I reached out to Spot Tonight through Supplier Spot, and they were great to talk to. They were easy to get a hold of through Supplier Spot. And that's kind of the review process. So I don't want people to think that it's like a review site out there, like a Yelp or something for RV park owners.
Sure.
So that's how it is. So yeah, I mean, that was my concept behind this. I think it's great that, I just love talking to people like you because I think we're sharing the same type of story. So.
And I think really, again, it's about the community and it's about getting the information out to the park owners. We've learned, of course, along the way. And I remember doing a presentation at the National Campground Show at Arvik, now OHA.
Yeah.
And I left there with the appreciation that many of the smaller campgrounds don't have obviously they don't have a full-time marketing staff. So these guys, once again, are after they get off the golf cart and check the sites after people left and bring in the new people. Then they're running back and trying to fix the address of where their park is in Google Maps.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a little one pager that we send to parks and people on request. That's basically, these are Spot Tonight marketing tips from our marketing team that created them. I said, I need 10, 12, 15 things that if I was Bobby Sorden starting a park today, what can I do that's cheap, free, and as we'd say, low hanging fruit to do this right now and to get my park on the map. Now, of course, connecting to Spot Tonight is, number one on the list probably, but because you got to have travelers. But it was simple things. It was like, how do I fix the address? How do I change the name of the park to the Sorden, campground and RV resort from what it was before? How do I make those changes so that people can see them? And that was the goal of the little one pager. And also when parks connect with us, we have one-page quick fact sheets for each different campground reservation system and the way it works. So the parks can use that for training their front desk team members or their call takers, and that way they can help them understand the concept. We own all the travelers, right, that we send to the park. So basically they can say, oh, I see you booked through Spot Tonight. Here's their number. Just call them or check your email, and then we actually process it, which again, if you're a traveler, you don't have to wait on hold for them to adjust your campsite. You can log in. We use, I'll just say their name, Zendesk, which is a major ticketing system, right, for a support desk. And we use that. It works exceptionally for us in this industry because people can just get on there, throw a ticket in and say, hey, we blew a tire, we're running late. What do we need to do to get in late? And so forth. And then they don't have to wait on the phone. Someone sit in the cab while the trucks are zooming by. Our team handles those issues. And we work it with the park and when we keep them, updated. So it works out very well. We provide that full 24/7, 365 traveler support for the parks. I also have told several park operators that if you're connected with us and you ever have to evacuate your front desk, just throw your calls over to us and we will do the best that we can do to help you out, if something happens. I know the weather has been an issue. I was telling someone the other day, I kind of feel like back in my Air Force days in the Pentagon where I have total asset visibilities. I could have all those campgrounds on a map, and then I could have green dots for full up. I could have yellow ones that are getting impacted by the weather. And you can almost see those storms, moving across from Texas and the tragedy that struck so many people that in those parks, it was awful. But unfortunately, camping is an outdoor sport and people have to be prepared. And I know park owners, do everything they can to do that. And so we are able to help do that. And we can do total bookings, and so they don't miss a beat, and it's real easy.
That's awesome.
And then I would say also, of course, through that integration that you spoke of, if they're waving goodbye to a traveler and the traveler suddenly stops and says, hey, by the way, I think that pole's burned up at spot 5. It's kind of smoked when I pull my plug out. And it's not like they have to call. If they just turn it off in their system, then the availability is turned off in our system. It's all real-time integration. So
that's great.
It works out very well. So
I know there's a lot of several booking engines out there that do, or not book. Booking engines, I guess, are similar in your case. But I just really like what you guys are doing. And like I said, just again, as we were talking about building up a community, this industry's got so many different types of people in it, and there's just room for everybody. And, I'm always I try to be always positive when I'm out there at the shows, and, I enjoy sitting around the bar and networking and drinking with everybody and getting to, know them more than just talking business. I like to talk about, I knew when Grant's baby was born, all that type of stuff. So I messaged him on LinkedIn and say, hey, congrats. And, Gary and I mean, it's funny. Gary and I talked before you guys actually brought him on a little bit. We were at Michigan. And he just kind of started chit-chatting with me. I didn't know it was Spot Tonight, but he's like, yeah, I've been talking to somebody about going over to. And I was like, well, you do what's best for you. And he's very happy with what he's doing. We talk through text quite often when we're at the show. So you guys
he's great team member here. And we're just so blessed to have him and bring him on. So
your whole team. I mean, everybody I've talked to have been great. So
Yeah, we're up to 18 team
Nice.
members now. So, of course, you got the park support guys that work directly with all of the campgrounds that you're talking with as well.
Yeah.
That's who they interact with.
Mhm.
You've got our marketing and business development, Caitlin and her team that do
Yeah.
all of the social media. They do all the special events. They produce the campground spotlight that we did this year.
Yeah.
They produce all of our rack cards. They're the engine behind all of our beautiful artwork at the booths and
Mhm.
all of that. They do everything. They do a phenomenal job for us to help get our message out.
Yeah.
And then we'd be lost without our developers, our whole dev team. Those guys are amazing employees with us and team members. It is if they are looking for us to break something. So it's the challenge,
Yeah,
it's,
exactly.
I think,
Yeah.
it's kind of got that gamer spirit in them in a way. Let's see how quick I can solve this correctly for this team because, besides us being here 365, they're there. I mean, they're employees with us, right? These guys they're not contractors. They're all employees with us, one big team. And so we have a call schedule where everybody's covering. So,
Mhm.
you'd be surprised the number of reservations that come in at night,
Oh, yeah.
in the evenings and, 2 in the morning. I feel, of course, as a nurse, there's probably a lot of medical people and first
Yeah.
responders that are out there working shift and they get a moment to
Mhm.
say, hey, let's book a spot. And I see those come in and, I'm like, yeah, I remember those days too, being on
Oh,
night
yeah.
shifts. So,
Yeah.
and
Completely.
when something breaks, it's good to know they got somebody there that can, walk them through it. So
Yes.
it's real exciting. So
Yeah, it's awesome. I love what you guys are doing. Like I said, it's just a real neat concept. Yeah. So again, Terry, I want to say thanks. We kind of wrap things up here. We've been talking. It's so
sure.
funny. I love these conversations because I can just go on and on. But of course, I want to try to keep them somewhat short. But it's just great talking with everybody and getting to know them. And you're actually only the second podcast I've done so far. So I just
Well, there you
launched
go.
it.
You're on a roll.
Yeah, I'm trying to. It's funny how you just mentioned you have this team of 18 people now, and everything that you said, I'm like, okay, I'm doing that, I'm doing that, I'm doing the development. Like the site that I built the platform myself, and I'm doing everything myself, and I'm hoping, year or two from down the road, I'll have a team as well where I'm like, okay, now I can be more of the face and get out there and I'm really good at networking, so that's what I want to do. But it's nice to be able to be on the back end too. So
It'll come. It'll come. It's
yeah, I'm excited
you
for it.
pick your
Um,
people well, and you'll be blessed to find great people to work with you as we did, and the growth and acceptance by the community, all of our parks. It's about building those relationships,
yep.
and trying to do good. When really, I think one of the greatest things is that we realized early on that we were going to be neutral, so we weren't going to be
Yeah.
really connected to
That's
any
how I am.
specific reservation company.
Yep.
And we all wanted the same thing, right? We want reservations. The traveler wants reservations. The park wants reservations. The reservation companies want reservations. So let's bring it all together
Yep.
and give people, if I will coin the phrase, the Amazon booking experience for
There
a
you go.
park
Yep.
that remembers that I have a trailer, that remembers that I'm a military veteran, and if there's a discount offered, I want that to come through. That remembers my payment method through a secure channel and connects me directly to that reservation.
Yeah.
And that's us.
That's great. Well, then I want to end on that to say, Terry, thanks for being on here. And most importantly, the whole thing out of this entire podcast, thank you for serving for our country. As I mentioned, I'm here in Colorado Springs. We've got about 5 bases between a 100-mile radius. And today is the Air Force Academy graduation. So I'm getting ready to head on out to my friends.
Air power.
Yep, my friend's bar I've been watching. So from where I sit, I can see Pikes Peak, I can see Garden of the Gods, and I've been watching the Thunderbirds practice. So today's the big flyover.
Beautiful.
A friend of mine owns a bar and grill that has a rooftop on it, so I'm going to be heading over there and helping him out. I mentioned to you earlier I have a DJ business. So I was going to set up my system and play some music while people are watching the Thunderbirds and having lunch and stuff. So I'll be heading out to do that. So thank you for serving for our country. Being an Air Force. I'm not sure if you ever came here to the Springs to any of these bases, but
never stationed there, but I've been there quite a few times.
Great. Well, thank you again, Terry, and thanks for coming on. And once again, this is Terry Broussard with Spot Tonight, and I'm Bobby Sorden with Supplier Spot. We got 2 great words in our titles of our businesses. So thanks for being on here, Terry. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Anybody needs anything, they can find us on Supplier Spot.
Yep. Just go to Supplier Spot. You send them a direct message, and somebody will get back to you. Of course, their website as well, Spot number 2 Nite Nite. So yeah. But again, Supplier Spot, get them there too. Thanks, Terry.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Supplier Spot Spotlight. Keep shining bright in the RV, park, and campground outdoor hospitality industry. Stay tuned for more illuminating conversations with industry experts. Until next time, enjoy the great outdoors.